Welcome to the Tom Bernard Show, the family podcast, with our special guest filling in for Kristen Burt, who's not here today. Our special guest is, he's not going to tell. I have to introduce. Big Shot.
Sorry.
No, that's all right, ladies and gentlemen. I know him as Paulie, but everybody else knows him as Meat Sauce from K-Fan.
Hi, hello. Thanks for having me. Sorry, I already screwed this up. It's like I'm on my own show where I don't know what I'm doing, and I just show up from 5:30 to 9.
We understand. We understand.
Yes.
Perfect.
And Bernard also.
Co-host Catherine Brandt.
This is really, really very smooth. No question about it.
So far.
Kristen Burt usually here, but today, of course, Paulie. Entertainment news brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. There was a coincidence today because I was going to announce something on the show today, which I'm going to do anyway. But then I got a message that Billy over at Jack's Cafe, I love Billy. He's one of my favorite people in the world. Jack's Cafe is one of my favorite places to eat on the world. We have... we just have a great time. I remember to this day, every time I see Billy Kozlak, I'm talking about, of course, the big shot over there at Jack's Cafe. It was announced to me today that Jack's is going to sponsor this show starting on May 5th.
Nice.
And I do point out the fact that Michael Bryant is a great friend of mine. Mike Bilski is a dear, dear friend of mine. That Josh Allen and I have become really, really good friends. That now we're going to have Billy advertising on the show. Jim Paul, I adore Jim Paul. So my whole basically career was meeting people, and then they would sponsor my show, whether it was on KQ or on this show or whatever. It's just it's going to be interesting. But I wanted to point out today because Paul, I've known Paul since. You want to be called Paul or Meat Sauce?
I don't care. You call me whatever you want. You're one of like 3 people that call me Paulie. My mom, the late great Dark Star, and you are like the only 3 that
good
Dark
company
Star
anyway.
He called me Paulie. Yeah,
I did not know that. I didn't. There you go. You have it, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, I mean, the reason I pointed out, like I said, Jack's is going to start advertising on the show. I think May 5th is when they start, just a couple of weeks from now. Love the guy. Billy Kozlak is. I'll tell you, the favorite joke, he still brings this joke up every time I see him. And that was like 25 years ago. I told him this joke. And every time, because Catherine and I love going to Jack's. So when my mother was still alive, I would have her birthday dinners at Jack's.
Very fancy.
Very fancy birthday parties
Yep.
for my mother over at Jack's Cafe. I just love it. But every time I see Billy now, he reminds me by telling me a joke that I told him, and he never stops laughing at the joke. What does a poor kid get? What does a poor kid get for Christmas?
I don't know.
And actually, the whole joke started. What does a poor kid from the inner city get for Christmas?
no idea.
Your bike. And Billy Kozlak thinks that's the funniest joke he's ever heard because they have to steal a bike to give to their kid because they don't have any dough. And the reason it's so funny to me is because that's how I grew up.
I grew up in Golden Valley for the most part, which was a first-tier suburb, right?
Absolutely.
And there was a big theft ring of bikes.
Oh God, yeah, bikes just get stolen all the time. There's no question about that. But we're going to get to the show in a second here. But again, I just wanted to welcome Billy because like I said, I loved it. Well, everybody advertises on my show. I just looked at it. You got Michael Bryant, Bradshaw and Bryant. You got Josh Arnold. You got Michael Bilski. You get on the whole list of people. It's amazing. But I wasn't thinking about this. But then last night it occurred to me it's a good time to do it because, like I said, I've known Paulie since he was 16 years old. That was a few years ago. What was that, like 5 years ago you were 16?
Yeah. I'm 42, so that was a long time ago. Yeah. And I'm 42 and I dress like I'm a drug dealer at a high school. So, yeah, I've really grown up in all the years you've known me.
A drug dealer at a high school. That's nice.
On radio. You don't need a uniform.
That is correct. That's one of the many reasons I love doing radio. Now,
that's true.
You can wear whatever you want. But now that everything's on camera, you at least have to look, approachable, and you have to at least look like you didn't just roll out of bed. So
from the shoulders up.
I suppose. I suppose that's true. But, I've been talking to Catherine about this quite a bit, and I've mentioned it to Andy, and Andy will take over with Alex and all the rest of it. But on my birthday, November 7th, 2026, which is about 19 months from now, I'm going to retire. I'm not going to do a podcast anymore. I'm not going to do radio anymore. I'm not going to do any of it anymore.
I'll believe it when I see it.
That's real nice.
You've retired about 100 times.
Well, it just...
Anytime you told me you're going to do that, I immediately tell Mark Rosen, and Rosie goes, "Sure."
Yeah, exactly.
Well, sounds good. We've heard this before.
Color us skeptical.
I am 5 days older than Mark Rosen. Mark Rosen and I were born 5 days apart. He, matter of fact, was born in a what's now I think it's an apartment building now in North Minneapolis on Glenwood and Penn Avenue. He was born in that hospital there. I was the last member of my family to be born in Long Prairie, Minnesota, but we moved down to Minneapolis, I think, when I was like 1 or maybe even 6 months old or something like that. But I just thought it was a good time to bring up the fact that, and I've talked to Andy about this and Catherine and Alex and all the rest of them, that it just, my birthday is November 7th. So November 7th, 2026, I will retire from the business and go do whatever I'm going to do. What? Don, stop making faces. What are you making faces for?
Which is what, though? What are you going to go do, right?
I don't know. I got to be honest with you.
We have a comment.
Maybe you should go.
Chat.
Oh, what's that?
Joe says bullshit.
I call
really
bullshit.
Nice. Everybody's calling bullshit. That's really nice. Well, I mean, that's why
I'm wrong, I guess.
That's why I pointed out every one of my advertisers on this show is a dear friend of mine, and they've supported me no matter if I was in radio or I was in podcasting, whatever. They've been great friends to me, and that's been very, very important. I mean, you know how lucky it was? I'm 18 years old. I walk into 1500 KSTP, get a job. We just talked about this yesterday. I get a job, and I had to leave the market for a while because I don't know why, but some people can perceive me to be a pain in the ass, so I get fired once in a while. I did last at KQRS for 37 years before they did finally fire me. And I don't know what the hell. I still don't know why, because I had the highest rated morning show in America until they took over. And then for some reason, our listenership went away. I wonder why I could hold on to listeners for 32 years. And all of a sudden they started going away when a new company took over. But that was my fault, apparently.
It's always your fault, I think, is what we've all learned.
That's true. It's always your fault. There's no question about it. So, but I adore podcasting. I adore being on the radio, all the nice people, being on the television shows, whether it's Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 11. I don't think I've ever been on Channel 9. No, I must have been when Passel was there. I had to have been on. Yeah. I mean, to be a kid from North Minneapolis, and I tested out of high school at 16 years old and went to college for one day. And to be as lucky as I've been to get jobs in the business, I took some time off to do voiceover. And while I was doing voiceover, I worked for Capitol Records, which was that's when I met Catherine, as a matter of fact. I wasn't in radio when I met you, right? I was working at Capitol.
Yeah, you were working at Capitol.
Only what?
And you were doing voiceover.
Doing a lot of voiceover. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, I made a comment. You probably shouldn't drown your baby in a toilet. So they ruined that career for me, too. But seriously, that's what did happen. A woman who was not from America drowned her baby in a toilet.
Excuse me, an oppressed woman.
Yes, an oppressed woman. I forgot she was oppressed. We didn't know she was oppressed. But yeah, I kind of said, don't be drowning your baby in a toilet. I just don't. Look, if you need to take care of a child or whatever, maybe you should give it away, or if you had an abortion, that's your business. I'm not saying it isn't, but
this took a turn.
To demean somebody, no, I just wanted to make sure people understand why I stopped doing voiceover. No one would hire me after I said that. They thought it was just horrible and blah, blah. All I said was, show the kid some dignity. Don't drown your kid in a toilet, for Christ's sake. But they didn't see my point.
Well, you did live in Minnesota. Minnesota's
they're a little different.
An interesting situation with certain things. Did I ever talk about my brother on this show when he was attacked with a golf club?
Oh, yeah, he was attacked with a
broken
golf club.
legs and all this kind of
stuff.
Yeah,
Paul, you committed all this cheerful stuff coming on. Way to go.
No, the only reason why I want to bring it up is because people ask me on social media from time to time, and a lot of people said I was a liar because they thought I was making up a story about my brother being attacked by a maniac with a golf club to the point he had to be in the hospital and was in a cast for months and months. Anyway, Apparently, they've decided to press charges against the guy that did that.
What was that, like 6 months ago? Took
Yeah.
some.
Yeah. Well, apparently the story that I have heard is the guy was laying on my brother screaming at him. So my brother like punched him to get him off of
To
him.
get him off.
And in Minnesota, you can't do that.
No.
You have a duty to retreat, whether it's
Yep, you
crawl
sure
away, cartwheel away, do backflips away. You have to get away from whoever is accosting
Yep.
you. So since he did that, it was like, too bad, so sad. You can't press charges. So anyway,
Escalation of force is still, that's a crime.
well, an assault with a deadly weapon, which
That
was a
too.
golf cart. And he broke something like 3 golf clubs over my brother.
Yeah, his legs.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
You can't argue that that's self-defense at that point.
I wouldn't think so, but they were doing that anyway. But anyway, I just wanted to bring up the fact that the people that didn't believe me, that thought I was lying because there weren't
Right.
charges, the
right.
people that have actually asked about my brother, yes, there are going to be charges.
There.
Well,
I'm
there
glad
you
to hear
go.
that.
And the reason why I thought about that today is because I just saw a post about Canadian golfers got into a fist fight over one group accused the other group of playing too slowly,
I saw
resulting in a broken jaw.
I saw that. There's no need to play golf slow. I don't like playing golf slow. I don't think it would escalate to violence.
Gotta go fast.
But you got to keep the pace. None of us are going to make the PGA Tour, as Tom once told me when I was playing poorly. So why care? None of us are going to make the
But
tour.
the
You
thing
got to
is,
keep the pace.
If the people ahead of you are slow,
That's a
then
good
what are you
point.
supposed to do?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you
Keep
supposed to
them
do?
up, I guess.
Go hit them?
Go hit him with a night.
Go hit them with a golf club.
Michael Bryant just got here, so why don't we take a break? Come right back. We got Paulie in studio, got Michael Bryant in studio, Andy, Catherine. Alex is not here, but so yeah, Michael. Just going into the break, coming back out of the break, I just announced that I will be leaving the air on November 7th, 2026, a year from this November. We'll be right back in a couple of seconds, right after these messages. From Bradshaw and Bryant, Michael Bryant. What's up, Allie?
Oh, not much. Doing my usual thing of telling people they shouldn't be texting and driving. In Minnesota, you can't have your phone in your hands. You can use, hands-free, but you can't have your phone in your hands for whatever reason. And that's why they made the law the way they did, so that police officers could see a phone in your hand and you got no excuse for why you got it there.
Do people know that that's the law?
I hope so. I mean, they used to follow it, and then kind of COVID kind of made people forget. And now it's like a freewheeling world out there with cell phones.
Let's say you get pulled over because you do have a phone in your hand and you're not watching where you're going. You got to be in pretty big trouble then, I would guess.
Well, the first one's not as bad. It's the multiple ones, the problem. And once people start stacking them up, then they have a big problem. And then what we're doing in car accidents is we've started bringing motions for punitive damages, because I'm trying to use the civil law any way we can to stop this, because it needs to stop.
Whenever I'd had any problems in my life, who was that I called again? It was like an MB, something like that.
Bradshaw and Bryant.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser. Ladies and gentlemen, Kristen Burt's not here, but the entertainment news brought to you this morning by Paulie and Mike, brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. So, Michael, how's everything going?
Good. I just, on the entertainment side, I just finished that Kevin Bacon 8-episode show. What's it called? Bountyman or Bondsman?
Lawman?
No, it's not law. I don't think
No, it's not law. It's not landman. It's not lawman. I know what you're talking about, but I love Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
Bondsman.
Bondsman, yeah.
Bondsman.
It's okay.
Ah.
It's only okay.
Half an hour. So I got through it in a very short period of time.
But it's not that great. It's okay.
8 shows. Yeah, it's decent. You know,
I like him.
He's a demon hunter.
He's
a
good
demon
guy.
hunter.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
That haven't paid their bond.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, what does that mean? I don't really
Yeah.
understand
Understand it in the first 20 minutes of the first episode. You get it and you figure out what's going on and the whole deal. But he does a good job. He's a good actor.
I got to mention one thing because I always get such a laugh out of this, and I do bring it up. I was watching the news today, and I bounce around and watch from spot to spot to spot. And now I forgot George Clooney, that's his name. George Clooney was on national television bitching and pissing and moaning about the Republican Party in America and blah, blah. And we shouldn't be putting up with this. He doesn't even live here. He lives in Europe.
He lives in Italy.
He lives on Lake Como in Italy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No.
So what is...
Maybe he meant the Italian Republican Party.
Yeah, that's what he meant. But here's what I don't understand about these people. There is no...
What these people are...
I'm talking about
Who live in
actors.
Italy or actors or what?
Actors.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
These people are never themselves. They're always putting on an act. I've been around a lot of very, very good actors, very famous. I don't even know what their real personality is because every time they're around other people, they put on a bit of an act. They just do.
I wonder, it's like, how much can you pretend to be someone else before your sense of self is
Right.
lost?
I think that's very
I
true.
mean, George Clooney, he's been acting for what, 40 years?
No, longer than that.
Yeah,
He
probably
was a
longer than
kid
that.
actor on Facts of Life.
He's
Or,
on
ER.
He's
Yeah.
63.
Well, that was
so
later.
ER.
yeah, probably like 50 years of acting. It's like at some point, it must be impossible to get back to base.
he was really little on that first series he was on. So
Oh, he
he
was?
might have been 5 or 6.
5
And
or
that
6.
was-
What was he on?
Oh.
On
Was it the Facts of Life? I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was Facts of Life or one of those.
Did he take the good and take the bad?
Yeah.
Great song.
I think he did. Yes, I think he did.
The early career. Wow, he's been on all sorts of stuff.
Oh, God.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
He's been on a lot of things.
Yeah, he was. He was a handyman on the Facts of Life, and he was on the Golden Girls.
Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Okay.
A Golden Girls.
There you go.
And
But it-
one episode. His first
Wow.
major role,
Yeah.
though, was a CBS sitcom called ER.
Yeah.
Not to be
Yeah.
confused,
Sitcom.
Dr.
not
was
to
he
be
Dr.
confused with the medical drama ER.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Different show.
Yeah, different shows.
Didn't know
What?
there were two of them.
Really?
Yeah, he's been on 2 different shows called ER.
Oh.
That's interesting.
So that is strange.
I think the reason this is getting to me now, because it's been about every day there's been some actor asshole or somebody else complaining about politics. And what's her name? Gayle King, when she said, let's get this straight. We were not passengers. We were crew members on that flight. It's like, what?
Oh, that Blue Origin thing is the gift that keeps on giving for the internet.
It
They,
never
show,
stops.
they
What?
showed how they landed, and they opened the door from the inside, and they're like, "Oh no, 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 no!" So they shut the door, and then Jeff Bezos goes over there with some sort of wrench to wrench the door
Oh.
open for the.
Make it look like he's freeing them from their space
Yes,
capsule.
Did you
yes,
see the video where he fell? Have you seen that video? Where he
no.
circled around it and there was a pothole of some sort and he tripped and fell on it. Whoops.
It is. It's the gift that keeps on giving for the
Yeah.
internet.
These actors and all these people are so disgusting. Me, more me now. It's all about me.
Well, Katy Perry says it's going to bring the world together. The fact
Oh,
that she went up
nice.
Sure.
in the capsule.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm so
I'm not
glad.
sure how it's going to bring the world together, but I hope it's true.
How about when they tweeted about it? Wendy's, the account on Twitter,
God, I'm so sick of the Wendy's account.
said, "Can we send her back?"
That one's all
Oh,
right.
well, Andy likes that one actually.
But
He likes that
the
one.
Wendy's Twitter account's kind of been infamous for being like, okay, calm down with the memeing. And they've been like that
Yeah.
for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's been a streak of every day. There's some political view on something that's just driving. Look, just be yourself, vote Democrat, vote Republican, do whatever you, but just shut up for Christ's sake. You're not an astronaut. You were a passenger. And George Clooney, you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. You live in Italy. You have nothing to do with living in America. So shut up.
Well, considering 2006, so almost 20 years ago, South Park had an episode called Smug Alert.
There you go.
Cloud of smog. So the smugness from the Oscars combined with the smog over San Francisco and became a cloud of smug that enveloped the country. And the smugness came from George Clooney doing a speech at the Oscars about how he's like, actors have always been on the forefront of all progress, etc.
Oh, yes.
So this is not a new thing for him.
God, what a
What's
jerk.
another new
Park's
thing for him?
elite.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love South Park.
It's
good
elite.
stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't
no
believe it's
question
still
about it.
going.
So yeah, I mean, it just this whole idea that I'm wonderful, and you need to understand that I was not a passenger, I was a crew member, and I'm wonderful because I know about America, even though I don't live there. Just shut up, you people. You're not even your real selves when you're on camera. So don't. I suppose.
Well, you have to remember, though, that's how they, if they don't toe the line, they're not going to get jobs.
Absolutely.
I suppose that's true.
Yeah, they have to say the
I
words.
feel like George Clooney, it's like, I think he could say whatever he wanted and still get work at this point. Because he's a made man by Hollywood standards.
Oh, yeah.
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 He's one of those people. It's like Tim Allen. He's like super conservative. And normally that's like you're blackballed instantly. But he's been in so much stuff that it's like he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, pretty much true. And look, I brought this up on the show yesterday, the fact that if you're on television or if you're on radio, and maybe I should ask Michael Bryant, it might be the same when you're in a courtroom too, that it's not really you that's doing that. There's a version of you that's on the radio or on television or in the courtroom. Is it really you? Yes, mostly, but there's a different element when you're on the job, or like I said, it's on camera or on microphone or whatever, including me. I'm different. I'm a much bigger prick in real life. Let me put it that way. Oh, and Catherine enjoys that.
What am I supposed to do?
No, I know you're in trouble. You don't love me anymore. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that whole situation up because it's wearing so thin with these people who are multi millionaires, and they live on Lake Como in Italy, and but they're going to tell us how to live life because they know what it's like to be the average guy. It's like, shut up.
So you must not like the Fight the Oligarchy tour.
Now, what's that tour again?
Oligarchy.
Bernie Sanders and AOC are running around.
Oh, they are
fighting the oligarchy. But I think the report was that Bernie spent almost $300,000 in private jets to fight them.
Oh, okay. Well, see, there you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Kind of hard to take you seriously.
Well, you can't take any. I would think, whether it's Republican, Democrat, well, you can't take them 100% seriously because they're putting on a show for you. There's no doubt.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's that whole deal. But in any case, so how did your thing go today, Mike?
Oh, it was usual work. It was just following up with some people in the hospital and what's going on with them. So,
well, that's nice.
You're getting justice for the injured.
Doing the best we can.
Doing the best we can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then for people who may not know this, although I brought it up a number of times, I met Paulie when he was working at a cigar shop out on Lake Street, but the Lake Street way
What was the name of it?
Cigar Jones. It was in
Cigar
the
Jones.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's where I met Paulie all those years ago. He was 16 years old, and we just kind of, I don't know, we kind of stayed in touch over the years.
How are your lungs, Paul?
Well, I don't think I did it. It was it was a fun job because I met, obviously Tom. I've met John Randall out of there.
Right.
I got my first internship at the Fan because I worked there. And but
nice.
Other than that, it's probably worth a little whatever I've got going on in my lungs to, But it was a great opportunity for me. But yeah, it was a fun spot to work, but it was tough for my lungs for like I worked there till 2010, I think was the last time I worked there. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So 15 years ago, but yeah, here we are now.
So do you hang out in the room where they smoke or?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was just
They
it was like a clubhouse. Yeah. It was fun. It was a great spot. It still is a great spot, but yeah.
Well, they all have ventilation, right?
They do,
Special
yeah,
ventilation.
They have these what are basically like they're basically huge fans that like suck some of that out. It goes out the one end of the building, but yeah.
I know it was a really good time, as a matter of
Yeah,
fact. Well,
awesome.
who was the guy that got you the internship at KFAN?
Howie, Dr. Howie got me the
Oh,
internship.
okay.
And
All
he
right.
asked me, I remember he said, do you want to, I heard you're going to Brown. Do you want to get an internship at the Fan? He knew Chad Hartman. And I said, what the hell is the Fan? He said, it's a radio or sports radio station. I said, sure. So I worked there. I also worked at Jack FM. And then when the people found out I was working at Jack FM, I couldn't work at both. So I quit a paid job to be an intern at the Fan.
Well,
So
it worked.
How does
It
working
worked.
at Jack FM work? Because
Well,
they
it was-
don't have DJs.
they do not. But before it all went automated, which is funny because 2 weeks after I quit, they got rid of everybody else and it all went automated.
So that was a good
What if you?
Yeah.
What if you'd made the other choice and ended up with
Correct.
nothing?
Yeah.
You're giving up that paycheck
right.
for no paycheck.
Right.
Little heads up
yeah.
would have been nice. Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, I sat there from midnight to 6 a.m. 2 days a week and just made sure it stayed on the air. And Lastman would call me if it didn't stay on the air.
Lastman, big shot.
Yeah, he was my boss. Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Oh yeah. He called me once at 3:30 because I cut a song like a half a second early, and he was up going to the bathroom, and he called me and said, "Don't do that."
That's Lastman.
I won't, and I didn't do it again. So yeah,
That is Lastman. There's no question about that. So, but I mean, it's an interesting business. Radio. I loved radio. Obviously, working in radio for 55 years, whatever it was, something like that. I think it was right around 55. But and you are pretty much you on the air, but there's a little different side of you when you're on the air. I think you don't even know you're doing it, but there's a little different. You're going to do. There are certain things you wouldn't do on the air that you would do in your real life, I suppose.
So the best, I guess, example I have is have you ever seen the movie Life of Brian?
Yes,
You know
love
what
it.
Life of Brian, where they're all standing there and those two guys that can barely speak they can't speak, right?
Right.
And then the guy walks up to him and asks them where everybody went and they can't get it out. And then right as they walk away, they start speaking in this like unbelievable, like intelligent conversation. Not that I'm an intelligent human, but like that's the way I look at my career, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
not like that, but it's part of who I am, right? And
Right.
yeah, so it's just it's a half of what I am. So it's still great. I love it. I love radio. I got into it
I
because
did
of you,
too.
and I just absolutely love it. It's fun. It's one of the best mediums ever.
I loved it. I committed the cardinal sin. I got too successful. And people in any business can't deal with that. They just can't. I don't know why the hell well, you guys you're kicking ass. You're doing really, really well now. So
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
you'll start feeling a little bit of that here. Well, you guys deserve it. You have a good job. When I came over and did the show, was it about a month ago I came over
Yeah.
did the show with you? I had a ball. I had a really, really nice time. Everybody there. There was not one jerk in the crowd. They were all very, very nice to me, which is nice to see. It is good. So congratulations on the success. You're doing very well.
Thank you. I work
Absolutely.
with some great people too, so that helps.
Yeah, I can see that. No
Yeah,
question about it.
And Common, and there's always Common. Yeah.
And then Common. Yeah, there's also actually Common and I.
He's not in that great people.
No, we played golf with him a lot, Tom, and it's
Yep.
he never stops talking, but that's what makes him Common.
I think the world of Common, and we'll
He's
be
the
playing.
best.
Well, how would you like to? Here's a foursome for you. There's Paulie, there's me, there's Common Man, and there's Johnny Randall.
Yeah.
There's a foursome on the golf.
Pack of strays, right?
Exactly. But it's so much fun.
The
And,
best.
and Johnny, every time I see Johnny, he runs over, gives me a big hug, and it tells me, great to see. He's such a nice man.
He's a wonderful human, man. We're
He
blessed
really
to
is.
have him in this state.
Yep.
He's a great dude.
I agree with that. And his wife is far too good for him, just like mine.
Yeah, Candace is wonderful. Yeah.
She is, no question about it. So, Mike, what about your situation? You,
What's your deal?
what's your deal? That's a good way to put. That's a great way to put it. What the hell is your deal?
And, give my opinion on things.
Do you always win?
No, do I always win? No, I wish. Yeah, so that's part of life.
You're seeking justice for the injured,
As
so that's
best we
good.
can.
The
Mhm.
best we can.
Mhm.
So, I just thought today would be a good show because this is the first time. I think it's the first time that Kristen Bird has ever missed a show, isn't it?
No, she's had
It's
other
been a
things
couple
going on.
times.
Once
Oh,
in a
has
while.
she?
Yeah.
Some stuff, yeah.
Sure.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Vacations and stuff.
She's got all kinds of jobs.
Yeah,
She
she
wears
does.
many hats, as they say.
She's terrific. I love working with that woman. I got
Yeah, she's
very, very
great.
lucky. There are a few people I didn't care to work with, but almost everybody I worked with in that almost 60-year career, I enjoyed working with him. We had a really, really good time. And I think sometimes people, when you like make fun of somebody a lot on the show, people say that it's very personal and they see it as real life. And it's like, no, it's a show. We can't just sit here and go, yeah, we're not going to pick on one another. We're going to just be respectful. That's not, who the hell's going to listen to that?
Nobody. I get picked on all the time, and everybody always asks me on my show, how do you put up with that? And I say, well, A, they pay me, but two, I'm not picked on off the air. If it was if I was bullied, I'd have an issue with it, but it's nothing personal. It's just the way that this bit works, right? Everybody can be picked on too, right?
Yeah.
That's where you run into some of these shows where like 2 or 3 people can't be picked on. Well, that doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't work at all.
It's not personal. It's just what you do. You just pick on people.
Well, it is. That is what you do. We'll take a very quick break. Be right back. Michael Bryant with us. Paulie Meat Sauce from K-Fan with us.
We'll start picking on Andy when we come back.
And we'll pick on Andy when we come back. That's exactly right. We'll be right back.
Poor Andy.
Why should your business bank with North American Banking Company? Here's Brian Thiel, president of Abrasives of St. Paul.
What I like best about North American Banking Company is the small town feel with great products and very good service. And I love the people. I would definitely recommend North American to other business owners. A lot of banks I could choose from, and North American Banking Company is the one.
So why not bank where I banked? With my friends at North American Banking Company. Go to nabanco.com to learn more. That's nabanco.com, or stop by any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety from wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you, get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. That's a good way to put it. He'll always provide straight talk, never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh. Right now, his 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today, 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold, investment consultant, LLC security investment advisor. Past performance, no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risks. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice, and I am a paid endorser. Today's show is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. Michael Bryant in studio. Paulie, as I call him, Meat Sauce, as he's known. How did you get the name Meat Sauce? Who came up with that?
So when I was an intern, Mike Morris came up with it. When I was an intern, I used to have to go get food at a spot not too far from here that's no longer with us. And one of my jobs was I had to go get it during Vikings games, bring it all back, and bring it up to the 5th floor and then hand it out to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was, well, if I can't do that right, nobody's going to hire me. So I took a lot of pride in doing that. So I brought it all in. They're all sitting around this big table like we're sitting at. And I hand this guy a sandwich, and then I hand him on top of the sandwich. It just has this to-go container that just simply says meat sauce. And I hand it to him, and he says, I didn't order that. And I go, I don't know what to tell you, man. Just take your meat sauce. Superstar laughed, and I was like, well, if I can get Superstar to laugh, I can help myself, and I can get Superstar to like me. Mm-hmm. So about every 15 minutes, I'd walk back into the studio as they're watching the game and taking notes. And I said, does anybody need anything? And they'd look at me and go, what? And then I'd go, well, does anybody need, and then I'd have up on my back, any more meat sauce? And they'd all laugh. And about a month later, I came in to do some at the studio, and Superstar walked by me, and he says nothing to me except he looks at him and he goes, you're now meat sauce. And I go, okay. And that was like 2005. That was like 20 years ago. So I've been meat sauce since like 2005.
God, that's amazing. Yep. That's how it always happens, though. It is.
Yep.
How it always happens. Yeah. I mean, so you worked around a lot of really very talented people.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, Morris, Corey Cove, who is now on the show, Chris Hockey, both of them are outstanding. Zach Halverson produces and helps us out. He's great. We have Ben Lieber on. We just got lucky, man. We did what you did. You just have that big group mentality, and everybody stays in their lane. And if you can't, then you can't do it. And that's not a shot at anybody, but like you can't stay in your own lane. And I'm not going to be Corey. I'm not going to be Hockey. I'm going to be who I am. So you all just stay in your lane, and that's how it works.
You didn't mention Marnie. I'm going to tell her.
Yeah, Marnie's great. Yeah, we have Marnie at Tuesdays and Fridays. She's wonderful. Yeah,
she is terrific.
She punched you the last time you saw her.
She punched me the last time I saw her. So I don't know. She was excited about. I think she won one of your contests or something.
Yeah, the initials game. Yeah.
The initials game, she got so excited she punched me.
She did, yes.
Okay, thank you.
We played one time. We had Brian O'Neill on, the Vikings right tackle, and he actually had to get into like a pass set because she tried to punch him, and he like backed away from her. But yeah, that's what makes Marnie, which is always wonderful.
Who came up with the initials game?
Corey Cove did. He came up. We had a guy that was working in his AJ, and those were his initials. So Corey came up with a game where they were 12 different items that all were AJ, and we played it once. We were like, that was fun. We should keep doing that. That was, I think, 2014. So we've been playing that for 11 years. And he does all the work. He's very good at it. And you could play it at bars, you could buy it at initialsgame.com, but it's fun to play.
It's a weird game because sometimes you're locked in and you get everything, and then other times like it seems like you could never get a single one.
Correct. Sometimes it's like I don't even know what these are, but I'm honored that I get to play it every Friday.
So it's every Friday you do play it.
Every Friday at 8:15. Yep.
What happened to me was because I did play it. I was there about a month ago on the show, on the K-Fan morning show, and as soon as the initials came up, I locked 3 people into my head and couldn't get them out of my head, and I never got anything right because those 3 people were not even mentioned in the game. So. I don't lock it in. If you're going to play the initials game, do not lock something in your head and go, I know this will be one of them, because maybe it won't.
And then you try and force feed all those items into whatever the clues are. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. It is a good game.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Man, like I said, the fact that I had to get punched because Marnie got one right was not really fair, but that's the way that goes. No, it's a good game. Doing morning radio is unlike anything else, even afternoon radio or middays or whatever nights. I did nights for a long time at 1500 KSTP and other places. WDGY, I was on there. A different WDGY though. What is 1130 now?
1130 is News Talk.
It's News Talk. Okay.
Yeah. So that was the frequency the fan used to be on, and then I think in 2012 we switched to FM. So yeah.
Yeah, because I was on 1130 was WDGY, and there's a WDGY now, but it's not the same WDGY.
No, I don't think so.
No, it's not. But it's one of those situations. Well, Mike, before you got here, I was talking about the fact that all of the advertisers on my show are my dear friends, great friends of mine. And I just found out this morning, and I didn't know this, that Jack's Cafe is going to advertise on the show.
Excellent.
And Billy, I think the world of Billy. And I did point out that every one of my advertisers is a very good friend of mine. So that kind of loyalty is very nice. It's very comforting to me. I will tell you that. I like that a lot. Now let's think of a couple of friends of mine who don't advertise, so we can just viciously attack them for not doing it. What do you think?
Yeah, that'll work.
That'll work. That's going to be great. So what else is happening in the world? Anything good?
Well, good. You kind of brought it off in a different direction. What's going on that's good? Well, it's spring. We got through the Masters. Masters was a great one.
That was really good.
We had a really good basketball tournament, even with the good teams that all ended up going to the top. But it was a good tournament. They played some great games. So we've had some good stuff. Baseball's back, which is always the greatest thing in the world.
God, I do love baseball. And the Twins have won their last couple, so that does help. I mean, even Meat Sauce is wearing his Twins cap today, so that's good.
If they win 5 more, I think they'll qualify for the playoffs in that.
That's a possibility.
That might be the case.
It's a possibility.
Although the East is not playing well right now, so we got nothing to talk about. So as far as over there, I mean, the Red Sox have been horrible, and they're, I think, a game and a half back right now, which is insane as bad as they've been as of late.
You know, it's amazing. And Paulie, this might happen to you too. I could be walking down the street. Let's say, I'm at a shopping center or something. I'm walking down the street, whatever I'm doing. I still have people come up to me and go, Tommy, I've never met you. And I'm so glad I ran into you because I've been waiting to tell you how much I loved it when the Twins won the World Series in 1987.
Yeah.
Like, what?
That's the one thing K-Fan hasn't had is that championship season that
not yet.
KQ had back in the day. Like, you guys have come close. If the Vikings win a Super Bowl,
yeah, be huge.
If one of those things happen, but you don't have that like classic moment that so many people tie into.
That's a great point. I mean, I think the closest we've had to that was Favre when he came in 2009.
Yeah.
And I happened to be that. I got laid off that year, but
you did?
When the economy collapsed in 2008, I got laid off in 2009. But anyway, I mean, that's probably the closest thing, the Brett Favre thing. I mean, the Minneapolis Miracle that happened, that was a great moment. But I mean, these teams always lose. The Timberwolves have always lost in the first round. But a championship run would change a lot of things. That would be really, really fun.
Yeah, there was when the Twins won their first World Series, me and my roommate woke up just so we could listen at 5:30 when Tom came on and talked about that game. And that was like just such that's a memory that people have that you guys have come close to, but not gotten to yet.
That'd be great. It'd be, was that your idea, Tom? Were you, because you guys got popular, the shows was great, but also you were the only one in town talking Twins baseball. Is that,
that's right.
Whose idea was it to do that? Was that yours?
It was because, and I talk about this quite often, sometimes several days in 1 week, but David Anderson's father took us to a baseball game at the old Met when I was 9 years old. And I was so overwhelmed with how beautiful it was and just watching all these superior athletes. And then it got dark and the lights came on. And I said, this is heaven. When I die, I want to come to Met Stadium and be buried here. So I was a huge fan from the time I was 9 years old.
Whose idea was the Portugal, the Mark Portugal, the bird, that whole thing that was done?
God, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, because that was part of that original kind of getting into that season, and just it grew from there. And
it was so much fun.
Happy music at the end of wins, and
light happy music, baby. Yeah. I want you to, by the way, Paulie, when they eventually do win, who carries the Twins game on radio now?
CCO.
Yeah, CCO.
CCO still does. Okay. I thought they did, but I wasn't sure about that. But you're going to have to play the light, happy music because it was played on FM. So, tell them to get out of the way.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
But I think a Viking Super Bowl win,
outstanding,
or maybe Wilder Timberwolves would do it, but it's just some sort of championship that could be tied to that.
Be excellent, and we have both the Wild and the Wolves and the Vikings, and that would be outstanding. Outstanding.
Well, we were talking about that on this show yesterday. The fact that when I went to that stadium, it was in the Twins' first year, 1961. Also, the Minnesota Vikings came across in 1961, and the Minnesota Gopher football team won the national championship, all in that same 12-month period.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
It was like sports. I got to start watching sports.
Yeah.
Our teams are really good. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Think it'll ever happen again?
I don't know.
Football championship?
Gophers, absolutely not.
Not a chance.
No chance.
Never?
No, I don't. I have to agree.
Although Nile may wreck football, and McAllister may win the national championship in 5 years.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
McAllister.
What's happening with Nile is so horrible that it's crazy.
For people who don't know what you're talking about, what's that all about?
They're paying the player. They're able to pay the players, but they're able to pay the players so much that players are like, some of them aren't going to enter the draft because they're making enough money in college, and they're getting these extra bonuses. I mean, coaches have to re-recruit their team every single year. Everybody. so that you can put together a team. I mean, there's guys, Tennessee just lost their quarterback, and it was basically because he's going to get double the amount of money somewhere else. And it's crazy. There's people not having spring football because they don't want to show off their talent because they'll enter the window and they'll lose the players. And it's
That's a good point.
It's nuts.
Yeah,
Now,
it's insane.
I believe they should get something. I go back to the Fab Five book where Weber talks about how he couldn't afford a second hamburger, and they're selling his jersey across the way, and he's like, "There's something wrong with this." So they should get something. But man, this is changing. And for the Gophers, they'll never come up with enough Nile money to pay people. So they're going to be
right.
They're going to be a minor league for big schools with players, as it's going to turn out.
Yeah, that is a big part of the whole situation, and that's the one thing I will tell you that I've heard from maybe 2 or 3 people out of all the people that have come through, because the KQ Morning Show changed radio forever with the amount of money they paid us. Nobody had ever been paid anywhere near that much money before. Really? Okay. Oh God, not even close. I think if you made $30,000 a year, you were kicking ass back then. And it got into the more than a couple of $1 million a year.
The big markets were paying better.
Well, they were paying better, but they still weren't. Howard Stern did change that a lot too. There's no question about it. Howard lives about a mile from us here, but I still haven't run into him because I want to run into him and go, "Would that feel like getting your ass kicked?" No, I wouldn't do that.
You've never run into him?
Never run into the guy, and he lives like a mile from here.
Yeah, because he does his show from home now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
So Casey Kasem didn't make the big bucks.
Yeah, I think Casey did because he did radio. Radio,
he was syndicated all over. Yeah,
syndication was different.
Different thing.
That's very, very true.
Wolfman Jack. The big Jack.
Don't bring up Wolfman. I loved Wolfman Jack, but 1500 KSTP. I'm 19 years old, and Jim Chanel was the one who decided to call me Catman. Mm-hmm. And if Catherine weren't here, I'd tell you why he wanted to call me Catman. Because the word pussy came up. That's a good indication. That's what it was about. That's why he did it. Made me use that name.
It didn't matter if Catherine was here. He pretty much told us.
Pretty much.
I get it.
You pretty much understand that whole deal. But I walk in the building one day over at Hubbard, and Chuck Knapp was the program director and a morning guy. And he said, "Got somebody in Studio A you're going to want to talk to." I said, "Who?" And he goes, "Well, we'll find out when we go in there." And I walk in, and there's Wolfman Jack standing in Studio A. Yep, he came to town. And I don't even remember why, but 2 things that he said, and he's no longer with us, so I can say this. But the first thing, I walk up to shake Wolfman Jack's hand. I'm 19 years old, maybe something like that. I'm scared to death. I might have still been 18, actually, because I loved, what was the name of that movie he was in? It was really good.
American Graffiti.
American Graffiti. Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
I mean, he was just a supreme talent and all the rest of it. He walks up. I stick my hand to shake his hand. He goes, "Catman, you're stealing my act, but that's all right." I'll never forget that. And then 2 seconds later, he turns around to somebody I won't name, looks at him and goes, "Where can I get some blow?"
I wonder if he ever got phone calls like you did when you first started on the radio about people not knowing that he was white.
Oh yeah, I bet that's probably true. Because every call I got, "When do they hire a black person to be on this radio station?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Yep.
And actually there was a black person on the radio in the market, but they didn't think he was black because he did a radio voice kind of thing. So, but yeah,
that's a complicated world.
Black guy who sounds white.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But I didn't.
You've heard that, right?
No,
they
I
tried
didn't
to get
know
him
that.
thrown off the radio when he first started. There were all these people calling
Really?
up. Yep.
Oh, you get that big N off the air. I mean, they weren't gentle about it. They were calling me the big N and everything else. They didn't like it at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
My God.
I know it was a different time, or maybe.
Oh, maybe. That's really nice. It's a bit different time. Maybe. Well, maybe
a weird world going on out there.
One thing I do have to ask, and I'm asking everybody on the air with this morning or this afternoon. Is it? No, it's still morning. what are people going to do? Like, the reason I bring this up is television has really taken a punch since the national shows are all, you just go on your television, you select what you want to watch that particular time, whether it's on Roku or whatever it's on. Local television news is taking a huge hit.
Sure.
Because, I watch it because there's the Channel 5 icon and you just go on that. So I even when I'm here, I watch it. But a lot of people don't know that even exists. Radio has changed a lot because of digital. How long do you think it's going to take before television and the local television and radio just disappear?
In part, I mean, a lot of it's gone already.
A lot of it is. That's true.
Where it's going to go next. I sent you that message on how in England there's big stations moving over they're all going to digital.
Yeah, you were telling me that.
Changing the way they're doing everything. And I don't know, digital's playing a much bigger role with you guys than it did.
It's weird because I think every time people think that radio is at the end, I remember I was at some conference or something in 2004. And this gentleman was talking. It was when the iPod first came out.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, a while ago.
Yeah. This guy said, well, you know what the difference between the radio and the iPod is? The radio's free. So, and that was 20 years ago, right? True. So I think there's something about, especially in this state, there's not a more loyal listener than Minnesotans. They love, all the shows, Barrero, Common, PA, and us. They love it's just local news, right?
Right.
You can make it a medium like this where we're all, in different places, but we can all have the same conversation in the video. That's what helps this kind of go along, right? Pat McAfee show. That's just a glorified radio show that's on TV and has cameras and everything, right?
Yeah.
It all goes back to that. It's just a radio show, but now you can put it in different kind of mediums.
See, I will not like it if it ever, I don't think it will disappear because, local television would have disappeared by now. There's very little local television. I think Channel 5 has one of the only live talk shows left on TV in that market. Ben
Lieber and, God, why can I never remember her name?
Elizabeth,
yeah, which is a great show. Elizabeth and Ben are great, right? Yeah. And they do a great show, but that might be the only one that is local. Yeah,
I can't think of. There used to be new ones at noon. There was one in the early evening. There used to be 20 of them.
Yeah.
So you wonder, but to me, and I suppose because I was in the business, I feel this way. It will never be the same for me listening to a podcast than it was listening to the radio, because you can get into anybody's car, turn on the radio in their car. And you can do that with podcasting too. I understand that. You can do that now. But that was very, very important to me, particularly on AM back in the days when you had skip signals. You could turn on an AM radio in your car and listen to a morning show or an evening show in Chicago, Illinois, because they would bounce off the clouds and then back on the ground, then bounce up and bounce down. It was, and then FM does that on a level basis, but that only goes, I think, about 50 miles or something like that. FM will travel 50 miles across the Earth's surface, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know. What's that?
It depends on the wattage.
Oh, okay.
Well, I suppose it depends, but it doesn't go over 100 miles, I know, because the curvature of the Earth will get rid of it.
Well, there's that too, yeah. But the FM obeys the inverse square law. So basically, the farther you are away from it, the weaker the signal gets.
Right.
Which is why you need repeaters all over the place.
That is exactly it. But to me, and I don't think it's coming very soon. It'll be a while. But to me, when radio, it bothered me a lot when AM lost all of its, glamour, I guess is a great way to put it. Because some of those signals, 50,000, and I know some of these FMs are 100,000 watts and all the rest of it, but they don't travel the same way. But when AM radio took the back seat, that really did bother me, because AM was the first, 15 years of my career. AM radio was a very big deal. 1500 KSTP had the huge signal. WCCO was a huge station, all the rest of it. But now, is there an AM station that does anything anymore? I don't think in the Twin Cities market there are.
Not in the same
way. No, I mean they CCO's helped by having the twins if the twins are doing well, but a lot of it's aging out. It's changing the way people are listening. Young people aren't listening to the radio the way people did before. And whether that's podcasts or whether that's simulcasts or whatever, as far as that part goes, that's where you're seeing the changes. We're spending more time listening to national podcasts than they ever would have or ever thought they would have.
That's very true.
What direction that's going to next, your guess is as good as mine, so who knows?
Yeah, man, as Paul pointed out, the only local TV show that I can think of is Ben Lieber's show, and Elizabeth. I don't think there is another one. I know that at Channel 4 they used to have them, but I don't think they have them anymore.
Well, why did AM fall out of favor anyway? If it has a more powerful signal and can reach more people, you would think that would be something advertisers would want.
The quality of the quality.
And it aged out. A lot of their listeners became older, and you lost that kind of traffic that you had.
I still, when I drive around in the car, I still listen to AM once in a while, just because that's where I started. I started on an AM station, and it just. I will say this also, and I'm not just look. I've known Paulie long enough. I don't have to stroke Paulie. He's a good friend of mine, been a dear friend for years and years. Radio in the Twin Cities and TV in the Twin Cities is as good as it gets anywhere. I mean, that confused Catherine and I when we moved to New York in 1984, 83 was it?
Yeah,
83, I think it was. We moved to New York. And I said to her, I tried to watch the local news here sucks. I mean, compared to Minneapolis, St. Paul, the local news was terrible. Boston's always been the good, though, hasn't it, Mike?
No, Boston had some really good sports.
Yes.
And then they had their news. I mean, their news did a number of big things as far as nationally goes, the things that they broke. They played a big role initially in the church stories and the busing stories. So they over time have done pretty well. They gave us Ron Rosenbaum.
Ron, oh God, I forgot all about
that. He used to sit in the studio smoking.
Oh yeah,
early days. Like the first time I ever remember him was being on TV where he'd be smoking during the interviews.
The funny thing about that is we had a gangster on, and I can see his face, but I can't remember his name. He was in prison, and he got out of prison, so we had him on the podcast. And this is when Ron was still alive. And God, I wish I could remember his name, but they let him out of prison, and I had him on the show, and I'm talking to him about what it's like to get out of prison and blah 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 blah. And then all of a sudden he goes, "Was that Ron Rosenbaum talking?" He goes, "Yeah, that's me." He goes, "Oh man, how have you been?" He's a guy from Boston, and he remembered when Ron Rosenbaum was on the radio in Boston. Yeah, he was all over Ron Rosenbaum, how wonderful Ron was. And God, it's great to hear your voice. And it's just, that's the part of radio that I would miss if it ever, because it wouldn't be the same on podcasting, I don't think.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
The other thing that came out of Boston was I think Boston produced like 4 or 5 national sports reporters. Minnesota's done a couple.
Yeah,
we've got Kevin Harlan that's gone national, and Chad's done some more national stuff.
And the current voice of the Vikings, Michael Grady, he will be a national. He'll be the lead person in ESPN. He's so good.
Yeah. So you see that, and that's kind of a sign of what's growing the talent, as far as nationally where people goes. And Minnesota's led the way in national people. Paul Majors left, did really well. We've had other people leave and do really well. So it's, that's the talent that comes out of here.
Ron Majors, his older brother, was another one, just phenomenal. As a matter of fact, Ron Majors, I'll never forget it. We used to have football games every fall, and KSTP TV and radio and the other, radio shows, that we would play a football game. And in one of the football games, I caught and scored the winning touchdown in that whole situation. They ran it on the evening news on Channel 5. And Ron Majors said, and I quote, "I would never have thought Tom had that kind of athletic ability." See, thanks, Ron. I really appreciate it, pal. We have to take a very quick break. Can you guys stick around for a few more? You got to get going.
I have to get going. I got a 4-month-old at home. I got to go.
Well, that's true. You want to
just laying on the floor.
Yeah, he's currently laying on the floor. No, my wife took him for a walk, but I got to go take care of him for a while.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the show today, and say hello to everybody over there. Maybe one of these days I'll pop on your show again. That was fun.
Yeah, it was the best. You're the best. Thank you to all of you. It's good to see all of you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Paul.
Now you can rip me when I leave.
Yep.
That dirty
Believe
son of a...
that shirt.
Yeah, there you go. We'll take a break. Be right back in a couple of minutes. Thanks again to Paul Lambert, Meat Sauce from KFAN. We'll be right back. For Brad, John Bryant, Michael Bryant. Michael, what's up?
Dealing with another case where a person gave a statement to the adjuster because they thought the person was really friendly.
Is that a good idea?
Well, the problem is they know the law when they call you up. And while you're trying to be fair and you're trying to get help, the reality is there are questions you get asked that the way you answer them make a big difference. And people put themselves in trouble. And when they aren't in trouble, they didn't do anything wrong, but suddenly the adjuster's got a statement that can blow up their case completely.
What has caused people to be so untrustworthy, I guess is the best way I could put it? They take advantage.
Well, insurance companies have hired adjusters whose job it is to deal with unrepresented people. So they're supposed to kind of lure them in, call them every day, see how they're doing. And people are like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. Where the reality is they've kind of adjusted to their problem that they've got going on. So it's not that they're completely better, but the way they say it gets to be a problem. And that's why having somebody who can explain your rights, represent you, make sure that you understand the law before you give a statement can make a big difference in your case.
Michael Bryant, Brad Sean Bryant. I'm talking with my friends Michael Bilski and Brad Huckle of North American Banking Company. Guys, business owners have had to deal with a lot over the last few years, haven't they?
They sure have, Tommy. We pride ourselves on being able to help our customers with the challenges they face.
Our business bankers are experts and are always ready to help our customers capitalize on opportunities and solve problems.
Loan decisions come quickly because they're made here in the Twin Cities and not shipped out of state like at some of the national banks in town.
This allows our customers to expand their businesses with confidence, knowing that they have our team of experts in their corner.
Okay, so now you give me this big thing at the end. Way to go.
Well, you are the professional.
Oh, I forgot. Look, I know Brad and Mike, and I trust them with my banking. They've personally delivered on everything they've just said, so why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Today's show brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation at 952-925-5608. Michael Bryant in studio with us. Thank you again to Paul Lambert. Paulie, I've known him since he was 16. Meat Sauce from the morning show over at KFAN. The day I did go over there about a month ago and do the show with them, they could not have been nicer. Very, very nice people on that show. Which, you don't always run into in radio and television, as you know, Michael. You've been around some interesting talent.
You were always nice to every one of your guests.
Well, I tried to be.
Yep.
Some of these guys, though, they think they're above everybody else. It's like, no, you're not.
You can't. Everybody's not nice.
But
so what's new in your world?
You've always been nice with even the harsh ones.
What the hell? You may as well be. I mean, some of those people I'll never see again. So what's the difference?
It's breaking legal news.
Uh-oh, what now?
A federal judge declared that Google's digital ad network is an illegal monopoly.
Really?
What does that mean?
Well, it's an ad monopoly. There's an interesting question coming up now with how AI, because there's been a transfer of about, I think last time I heard there was about an 8% transfer from people that were using Google searches versus AI searches. And AI hasn't figured out a way to advertise yet. And so Google's been suing AI because they're using them for indexing. So this sounds like a response to what Google's doing, and we'll see how that all comes down. But that would be my guess off the top.
God, you're going to sue me, huh?
Because I know there's been a whole bunch of monopoly things going on with Bezos, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that, for the legal profession, it's great that we have state, laws that you have to be a lawyer locally, because that prevents us from being run out of business by all the Walmarts or somebody come along and being the lawyer for the whole country.
And so there's a bunch of fights going on with what Google controls and how they can control it. And it's also why they keep changing their algorithms all the time so that people have to invest and have to do things to stay up there. I mean,
yeah, they sure do.
I always tell people it used to be better, at least with the phone book, was, you're back of the phone book, you stayed there for a year. Nobody could go rip you off and put their name on there. Where, daily, it's like we're first, we're fifth, we're seventh, we're second page, we're fourth page, we're first page. It's crazy. It's a battle that is just crazy.
I would imagine that is probably true. It's just, boy, the world is just so different now than it was 20 years ago. I mean, I've already talked about local television and local radio, and AM has almost disappeared, which I never thought. Those are some big signals just be sitting there with nobody on them. That's a weird deal.
But it's a different way people get information, and different and age. People just age and things change, and it's changed more. I mean, we've probably seen more changes in the last 10 years than anybody's ever seen in their life. I mean, comparably, I guess it was probably pretty cool when fire showed up. That made a difference. So,
I think this stuff's going to be big.
There's big changes, but it's mind-boggling the amount of changes that are going on right now, and that go on almost on a weekly to daily basis sometimes.
Yeah, there's been a big uproar about all this luxury brand stuff that was all like the biggest of the big brands, Hermes, all that stuff, all made in China. Then they ship it back to whatever the country of origin is, and they put a label in, made in, wherever, Italy. And then all of a sudden it's, a $10,000 bag.
Yep.
And now I guess there's been these people from China posting on TikTok, you can just buy the bags from us.
Directly.
We're just going to sell you the bags
Oh.
because we have all the materials. We have all the workmanship. We're just going to sell direct. And it's like, I don't know what that's going to do to these people that'll pay $50,000, $70,000 for a Birkin bag.
It's insane.
Well, first of all, what a stupid thing to waste money on.
Very stupid.
Shouldn't you just write a check to a shelter or a food bank or something rather than buy
$50,000 for a bag?
A bag, and it looks a lot like other bags.
So what's it? How do you spell Birkin? B-I-R-K-E-N?
I think it's Birken.
Yeah,
Birkin
that's right.
bag.
Because I have some old Louis Vuitton stuff that it was expensive for the time. Now it's not even. I don't even know if you can buy.
These look like something you could buy at Target for $20.
Well, you basically can, but
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
At any rate, it used to be that if you bought an $800 Louis Vuitton wallet or bag or something, you had a guarantee for life. They would fix the zipper. They would fix this. If something went wrong with it, they would just give you a new one. Then some huge hedge fund bought all of the luxury brand goods. I think almost all of them. And then just all of that backing their products went away. So I don't really see any reason to buy the names when they don't. Like, you've got a nice suitcase. You've got an older Louis Vuitton suitcase. Now, the handle is smashed down in the thing and it won't come out. I'm guessing if you bring it to a Louis Vuitton store, they're going to ship it to California, and then they're going to charge you $500 to $800 to fix it.
Yeah.
That's not how it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. There's no way I'm doing it.
Well, I wonder if somebody else can.
I got a deal alert
fix.
though.
Hmm?
The Hermes Birkin 25 gold to go bag. It's marked down from $33,999
$33,000
to $25,500. So go get it now.
Oh.
It's still affordable.
This is a purse.
It's a bag. It's literally just it doesn't appear to be a very utilitarian bag either. It's got the utility of a plastic grocery bag, but it's made of leather.
God, and it's $35,000.
I don't get it.
Oh, some of them, if there's an exotic skin of any kind, it can reach $100,000 easily.
Like, you can say what you want about people who buy Ferraris and stuff like that. It's like, okay, you don't need a Ferrari. No one really needs one, but it's a car. It's got function. It's going to get you where you need to go. It's probably handles well, that sort of thing. So at least it has some purpose. But a $50,000 bag that's no better than any other bag,
Well, it does
no-
serve a purpose. It's so when the ladies go out to
Yeah.
lunch, they can all go, "Oh, you've got the new Berkey."
So I want to ask a question because I did bring it up at the beginning of the show, and I'll ask it again. Why have people gotten so arrogant? I mean, everybody is so incredibly arrogant now. You walk down the street, usually you walk, one way on the right and the other way on the left.
You're still mad about Disney World.
Oh, Disney World. The arrogance of some of these young people, 35 and younger. I'm going to walk at you, and if you don't get out of the way, we're going to run into each other. And I will not get out of the way. I'm just not going to do it.
Stand your ground.
I'm on the right side of the sidewalk walking, and if you want to run into me, then good. I'm a lot bigger than you are. It ain't going to be good for you. I'll tell you that. And they would step aside at the very end, but they have this very just arrogant look on their face. What is that all about?
Well, like I said, a lot of that is a cultural thing. Like if you go to Italy and there's a group of people standing on the sidewalk having a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and you expect them to disperse so you can walk through, you're considered to be the jerk that you think that they should stop their conversation for you. I mean, that's just something that a lot of people are like, we were here talking. What's wrong with you?
You're blocking the sidewalk, which we all pay for, first of
But
all.
we're having a nice time. We're having a conversation. You can easily walk around us.
Move over. That's all I got to say.
It's all perspective.
Oh yeah.
That's why carrying a stun gun might be a good idea now.
Start stunning groups of Italians.
Wow.
Well, not Italians now. Let's not get too carried away with it. Not just Italians. I mean, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
No, when we were at Disney World, young the people 20, 21, 22 years old would walk right at you and basically wanted you to get out of the way. And I just wouldn't do it.
The problem with Disney World is everybody is staring at their app to find the ride times and find out where they're supposed to be next. And I mean, they're just, their faces are in the app all the time.
I don't know why they do.
They don't even look up. What I noticed was the little kids that were probably like COVID kids at around 7, 8. When they come out of like a bathroom and you're going in, they have a different, they get like deer in headlights. Like, well, I don't know what to do with this person in front of me. I feel like there's a different vibe from kids that grew up with COVID. And I don't, maybe that's just me.
You may be right about that.
I know that teachers say that the kids that grew up during COVID years are different. They're just different. They're not better. They're not worse, but they're different.
Just different.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see
they
that.
didn't get all that socialization for so many years. Some of them.
That's true. That's but again, and I've talked to Michael Bryan about this before, and I've talked to you guys about this before. Where I grew up, if you did that, if you tried to walk right into my face, you would not appreciate what happened to you. I'll tell you that.
The world has changed.
Yes, it has quite a bit, but
getting upset about stuff like that is
over there in the ghetto. They did not put up with that because they looked at it as very disrespectful. They did. They thought you were being really disrespectful, and I agree with it. It's still very disrespectful.
But
the hell out of the way.
Do you think the person who did that's upset you has thought about it again?
Nope.
Yeah, not for a minute.
So I would.
Yeah, let it go.
Well, she was first of all, she looked like a complete dimwit. Like there was nothing going on in the noggin.
Stupid. Well, then.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She was a moron. So
you got a different level of stoned people out there now.
Well, that's true too.
Oh boy, isn't that the truth?
It's incredible how many people are wandering around stoned out of their mind.
They really are.
I got to be honest with you, Mike. I've been watching episodes of Cops.
Yep.
Oh my God. You got any drugs on you? No, I ain't got no drugs on me. They find them behind their ear, shoved it between their sack and their leg, up their butt.
Ear, like that. What's behind this ear?
Exactly.
Bag.
They got 6 billion different drugs hidden on their body and claim they have no drugs.
Or they start taking it. They take handfuls.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to die. It's better to go to jail.
People do overdose all the time because of that. They try to get rid of the evidence. They just swallow it all. And
not a good call.
You just doomed yourself.
It's not a good idea. All right, why don't we take that final 60-second break, come back and wrap things up with Michael Bryant, Bradshaw and Bryant. And I mentioned this before. One of my very, very loyal advertisers, Michael Bryant, Mike Bilski. You got, Jim Paul has been with me forever. Josh Arnold's been very, very loyal. Mike Lindell. I did see that statement that he made the statement yesterday, I think on camera, that his life is destroyed.
Yeah.
Did you send me that, Mike?
No, I did not send that.
No, somebody did. They sent me a picture of the video.
Really? Oh.
I just feel so bad for Mike Lindell. I mean, he's a different guy, but he's always been a very sweet guy to me and my family, and that does bother me. But anyway, we'll be right back. Wrap things up in 60 seconds. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I was going to look at my phone and see who did send me that. It's very. I did not watch the video of.
It's all
Mike.
over the.
Is it all over the
What are you
place?
talking about?
There's a video of Mike Lindell talking about how he's flat broke and his life has been destroyed.
Oh, he's
It was
Negative.
it was in. He was telling a judge.
Oh, he's telling a judge.
Yes, because people are suing him for.
Well, who would release that video if he was in court?
Well, that is interesting.
I don't think the video is actually in court.
It's not. Okay.
I think it was after when they were talking about, but it might be.
I'm in runes. Terry Mike Lindell tells judge in Smartmatic sanctions hearing.
Was that a voter thing?
Yeah, that's the
I thought so, yeah.
voter things that he took on that beat him in court, and now he owes a bunch of money too. And
It says he can't pay the fines.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's so sad. He, at one time, his business was worth like $200 million.
Well, and they won't carry your product. It's pretty hard to sell.
Won't do it. I don't understand.
It's a tough call you make when you tie yourself into a position, and
yes,
It's that's the discussion I've had with tons of people about Tesla. I've had tons of attorney friends that had Teslas because they believed in the product and they believed in helping to save the earth in some manner. I know there's fights about whether or not they actually are or not, that are now have given them all back because they disagree with what has happened with him. And it's you tie yourself to something, and some people are going to disagree.
Okay, I want him to do this then. If you turned your Tesla back in, I sure hope you didn't buy a Ford, because Henry Ford was a good friend of Adolf Hitler.
Yeah,
so, if we're going to get carried away by this bullshit, it's just ridiculous. Yeah. There's no major corporation in the world that doesn't deal with filthy people.
But how is that different than what you were talking about with certain actors? Like, you won't go see
I agree,
because you disagree with what they've said.
Well, I don't try to ruin their life.
Not a big difference.
Yeah, there is a huge difference. I don't try to ruin their life.
Oh, if you have enough people who disagree with it, that ruins it. Maybe the choice that you started with wasn't the greatest choice in the world. And I feel for Mike, I wish this had happened to him, but that's the danger you run into when he really went all in. He pushed all his.
He did. I don't know why he did it.
He
hurt
did.
him, and it's I get in battles on Twitter every once in a while, but I try not to tie Bradshaw and Bryant into some of my crazy ideas.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It is a good move. All right, well, that is going to do it. Mike, thanks for popping in. Thank you again to Meat Sauce from K-Fan's Morning Show popping on. Like I said, since he was 16 years old. And people are asking me, so it'll be November 7th of 2026. Well, I didn't even know if so I should check and see if that's a Sunday or a Saturday. Or wouldn't be on anyway, but it'll be that day if it's a weekday. And it'll be
that is what
pardon me.
That November 2026 calendar. The 7th is a Saturday.
Yep. So it'll be November 6th, actually, will be my last day in the business.
Why did you choose today?
Oh, no, because Paulie was going to be here, and I've known Paulie forever. And
okay.
Paul wanted me to come over and be on the K-Fan morning show, and it just didn't work out. And, so he's always been a very loyal, good friend of mine. And Michael Bryant, Mike Bilski, Mike Lindell, all the Mikes. Mikes are always nice to me. I don't know why that is.
It's a good, solid name.
It is a good, solid name. Like I said, Jim Paul's just been wonderful. Found out that Billy Kozlak's going to advertise on this show starting on May 5th. I love the Kozlak family. They're wonderful people. And I hope I didn't think of, is there anybody I didn't mention? I hope I didn't miss anybody's name. I had to have, though. So if I did, I'll make good on it. That's going to do it. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Got a picture in my pocket reminds me of this was before. Every time I hear the same reminds me how you talking